Hey there, Alex Chakalo here with the solution engineering team of Make. And in this video, we're going to talk about text parsing, and that happens in very common cases where you use Make to process your data. And for this to start, I just want to start with the text strings and a doc that Make has for it. So you can easily find this in a Make doc section and functions and a string function. So basically, many of these functions will be super helpful if you're going to parse your text. And this is actually one of the methods to do it. And we will start with some practical task for it. So let's imagine you have some data that comes from somewhere. And super common first case of our John Doe guy with the first and last name. So for parsing this, you definitely might not need super advanced techniques and different tools, Regex, know Regex, and so on. You just need to know the standard make functions. And one of the super common patterns to parse the text will be using a split function. So you can either type or select this function from text functions in here. So let me make this a bit smaller. And that's how it will work. So because we already got a variable, right, for our name, actually it's data, right? We can, again, as I said, either type or select a function here, a function called split. So what does this function? It again says here, if you hover mouse on it, and when you open the function selected, it will split your text to different chunks, right? Depending on the separator, you will put as a second argument, and will return array to work with it. So in this case, there's probably only one logical separator we have here. It's a space, right, between our two words. And if I will just run this, it will return us array, which is two pieces of items right inside of one array. So until this point, you might not even need to know what is array. You just can visually see, right? So it's two pieces, and we literally can call them by their index, right? So first piece and the second piece. In Make, we use, when we work with array, we start with the one instead of zero as regular programming languages, and that's, again, for user simplicity. So again, to get this piece of splitted text, we use a get function. So you can either go and select it in general functions or just type get and open parentheses to see the stuff. So I can close my window, or we can just continue to type, right? So basically, and again, it's super easy. You get all explanation for it. Get works for objects and arrays. In our case, again, it's a super simple case. We're just going to select the, as we've spoken, one item of two, right? So say I need the first name, that will be like just the one. So with the text that we split, using the space, we will literally select first item. So this is how you read this expression. So literally, I will get a first item, right, from a splitted text by text splitted by space, and that will return us our first name, right? So if we need to get the second, it's pretty obvious that we just use two, and so on. So by extending our pattern a bit more, right, we can get even more stuff. So say add the phone number and say add some email here. Okay, and in this case, it becomes a bit from one side more complex thing, but because we know the patterns that we use with the text string, it's not the like a big deal for us, right? So in this case, what I'm going to do, literally, because I know that each of each piece of my data comes on a new line. So guess what I'm going to do if I need, say, an email, right? So what I need to do is do literally the same. The only thing that I'm going to change in here globally, right, will be a separator. So I'm going to, in this case, utilize my new line. I put a space. Sorry, a new line, right, as a separator. So basically, I want to split this using a new line. So I just use new line literally to split my text, and then I'm going to get some piece of data. So potentially you can even always go and like test or check yourself or make it easier, right? So just see, okay, did I got everything correctly? What index of my pieces here, right? So I split this with a new line. So I got 3 pieces of data here, literally 3 items in my array. So I need the third one, right? So super simple to like becomes relatively easy to understand. We just need a piece number 3, right? So with this one, I can get my email from this text. So there are like probably definitely more things to do with this one, and what we can do also here will be, say, this. I need, for example, right, if I have like, let's add stuff to it, so name and then phone, for example, and then email. Okay, so that turns our thing to a bit more complex stuff, because again, what I have here will be the whole line that I got after my split, right? Because I have now email and a space. So what if I need to have this? You can easily guess what I can do, right? I again can add get and split. There are like several techniques on overcome this, and one of them again could be I can now split this one using a space, for example, and just get a second thing from this split, because this will be the first, right? And this will be a second. What I also can do, and I just will illustrate as a some use case, because if, say, I assume my text line will have, or form data will have always the same structure. So we may say, okay, why don't cut just this somehow? And there are also a couple of techniques to do it, and I'll show you both. So first, what you can do a replace. So I literally copy this text, and then I can go here where my expression. So let's just quickly name them. Say our split. Let's just call it split or split array, for example, and this let's call it result. Okay, so that will be a result of our person. Okay, so this is a split of our result of our split. So basically, I can just run it once again to get correct names, nice and shiny. So this is result. This is what I got, and what I'm going to do, right, is just replace, as we've spoken, this email. So this is one of the simplest ones. So we kind of just cut it or remove this piece. So literally saying my function in this case, again, it's a text function of replace. You can either type this and open parentheses or just select it in here. So replace, then you need to remove this stuff of argument, because replace works in a way where you have a text and then you literally show what you want to replace and then what will be a replacer, right? So replace with. Okay, so I want to take my text, which is email, column space something, and my email, right? Email will change all the time, so I would just want to replace this with literally nothing. So I will put a third argument, literally a replacement, and you can use empty string for it. So that will do the thing for us, and we'll just replace this email. What I also can do, let's just clone it and do another option, is use substring. So for example, I can just say my system, which is make in this case, right? So is to do a substring. So this is just like a, this is like a thing that you can do in some Google Sheet or other formulas that you might be familiar with. It's a substring. So we literally going to cut our text from something to something. Substring actually works with the zeros. So to easily find how it works, you literally can do next. That's how works substring. So you put your cursor and say like 0, and then you just can literally hit the arrows on your keyboard and start to count. So this will be 0, right? So this will be 1, this will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. So literally, if I want to cut something from my line, so I need to put two numbers, right? So start and end. So I start with 0. So I start from here. Literally, I need a substring, right? So I get a cut. So my result will be a cut. So I don't need to start from 0 because I need to skip it. I will start from this place, right? So we literally start to count. It will be 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need to start from character number 7, and I need to cut it by the end of this line. I can do it with a substring using next thing. So potentially, again, it comes a bit more complex, but sometimes you might want to do it. My point here is just show you different option of parsing. So substring literally will take this text, right? So which is first argument. So if you hover, you see everything between the substring and first semicolon is the first argument. Then I will literally want to return everything between the 7 character up to the end. So to show the end, I can use a length, right? So I need to measure a length of my whole string. So for this, I can again just select the length here and just paste what I copied, literally a whole expression of my get split sum. So that should work. And we are literally going to, with a substring, we're going to take the text, which is email, column, space, blah, blah, blah. And we will substring, we command substring to return us everything between a 7th place to the end. The end literally is a length of whole text thing. And if we run it, if we not miss anything, yeah, should be it. So as you see here, we literally got a cut from 7th place to the end of the whole text, which in our case was this. So these are 2 or 3 most common patterns that you can get and mix all together. Probably one more could be is the index of, which I haven't mentioned. It's when you need to find a place where to start cut. So say I want to just get a domain, for example, right? And it's pretty obvious that my domain will start after the at. It could be definitely a subdomain and somebody usually, right? So we have just domain after the at sign. So if I need just cut a domain, say put in organization website address, which is also not the rule, but let's assume it works this way, right? So what I can do, because here I have my, say, email, right? I can even go and do it like this because we're replacing the email. Here it's extra stuff which we don't need. Let's just clone this and let's call it a domain. Rename, Control A, not Control S, and then domain. Okay, so domain. So here, what I'm going to do is to first get the whole line. I don't mind to cut it first, right? And then my idea is to find this symbol, right, which is @, and cut literally just get the result of this. So I just need to cut this piece and return it back. So what I can do with this one, I use index of. So index of works in a way where you can get, sometimes it's easier to type it. So index of will return us a place where the thing is, right? So if you see here, so for example, with the T, it will return you the first thing. So with our math of 0, 1, 2, it counts like a 0, 1, 2. See? So it's literally exact place where we starting to cut. So technically, if I will do index of for my @, that would return me a place, and text will be @ plus something. So what I need to do, I need to find my place for index of my @ and @ plus 1, because I don't need @ itself in my cut. And all this together, we're going to use with a substring. So if I do index of for my text, which I also want to copy. So if I do index add for my text, that would be working like this, right? So that will return me a place where my @ inside it's a 12, right? Inside of my text. So if I will count, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's where we're at, right? But we need this, so we're going to add +1 to it with a math operator. So it always will be +1, right? And this will be the place where I want to start my cut. So to combine this all together with what we already discussed will be SUBSTRING. So sometimes when you type it, okay, so we're going to do what, right? So we're going to substring the whole text, which I've just copied, from this place, right? And up to a length, again, of my whole text. So looks a bit complex, but sometimes you may prefer this method also, right? So literally, once again, you hover mouse on the substring, right, to see or the separators or end of the substring. So you see, right? So we get split data new line 3, which is third line. Then we got an index of that thing, right? So index of our @ inside of our get split +1. So we're adding +1. So to cut after @, literally we're saying substring cut after, start cutting after the @ and do it up until the length of the whole line. And that should return our domain then to us as mail.com. So these are probably most common methods that you can use to get things done. We can definitely go with the more complex things, such as using the whole lines as a separator. This is also possible, right? So ideally, if you have something with your text and I just need to cut something like, I don't know, like that type of thing, right? So you can use this as a separator for a text and so on. But these techniques are not so common, but you still might need to know them. So say I want to get everything before this line, right? And I don't want to get this anymore, like you may assume it as a signature, right? I just want to cut, say, signature from my email. So, and you can use it as, again, get. So I want to get what I want to get. I want to get the piece of a text from my split, right? So, and as a separator for a split, I'm going to use that thing. Okay, so what I'm going to get will be a first piece. Don't forget the separators. Make sure your functions always have correct arguments and so on. So I want to get the first piece of this split, right? So this will be a separator. This should be a first piece. This should be a second. So I will going to get the first one here. And as you see, we just got the whole thing, not even spaces, new lines. We just got with a new line here, but nothing after because we use exactly whole thing copied, right? And that's most common techniques for text functions. And again, as soon as you reach this kind of piece of knowledge, you start to move to more advanced stuff, and that would be regular expressions. So for many years, the regex or regular expressions were something that is like just impossible to use, and that works only for super advanced programmers. But since recently, right, since we got language models working for us and generating for us a code, you can easily operate with a projects of huge complexity, to be honest. And we are going to see soon how to make Regex work on our behalf. Now, let's discuss how you can do similar actions and even way more with the regular expressions in a tool that provides make. So basically, quickly deep in a regular expression, you can do it definitely on your own. And as I mentioned before, it previously was a bit a complex task, right, for most of the users. Oh, so cute, cute. Okay, and now it become a way easier with the large language models and the AI, right? Because it helps a lot you to literally master regex in almost no time. So what you need to remember about the regex and know about it. So I would strongly recommend you use regex101.com website as a reference and the sandbox for testing your regex. And quickly speaking about what is regex is an option to match patterns, right, of text in different kinds. So basically, if you have your text as we mentioned before, let's technically not waste the time and just grab what we have here and play with it. So this is your text, right? So what does regex? It actually starts to match a pattern. So you literally have to provide a pattern of your text using special symbols, characters, and techniques to create this regular expression. So then it could be used. So say if you want to match all digits inside your regex, you have to go with this symbol, right? And again, my purpose in this video, not like show you or teach you exactly how to build any regex pattern, because it's pretty complex thing, as I mentioned before, right? And previously, to master regex completely, you might spend like even month, that's probably right, or even like master it whole life. Now it become way easier. So you just literally need to know several basic patterns to use it almost on a full power. And I will start to show you just the general ideas on how the regex works, and then we will move to literally a generation regex to not spend too much of your time learning regex itself. So you need to understand that besides of direct matching, right, of say literally when I type phone, right, it matches phone, so super obvious, but it's how it works, right? And then I can do some grouping stuff and so on, so on. So say I want to match this, for example, this will give you the group of one, which matches some text that goes after font space, literally something, right? All of these things, potentially, most of them at least, you can find here, and all these tokens and special syntax of Regex. So for example, you see how to match a new line, right? So if literally, if you start to type this, it should show you a new line character, right? So you see all new lines literally matched and so on. So same as I did for digits already, right? So you see here I have a characters. Let's just move this one a bit for any digit, right? So you saw I did it already and I matched a digit. So I put slash then D that match any digit inside my regex and create different matches, right? And if I put plus, which means everything literally the same character until the match works, right? It will match everything and it will be matched. But you can go and create more advanced things like groups. And for this, I have a couple of patterns where we already have some text to play with. So I will just literally explain you how to create the groups faster and easier. For this, I want to use probably this example. Okay, so let's take a look on this one and let's rebuild it. So basically, you saw how I did the groups already, right? And now we will start to explore a bit the stuff for the groups. So I have this type of text, which is email, last name, or like name, last name, email, phone, and so on. So what I need to do technically, because it's all regex stuff, it's interesting enough, but how do I apply this for my real data? Because our purpose not to like learn regex, but do it like in purpose. So first of all, which I didn't mention yet, you have to use a JavaScript flavor, it calls, right? Because the regex can be applied in different programming languages. And in Make used JavaScript interpreter, so you have to use a JavaScript. So you have to select here a JavaScript. This is important because in some cases it's really plays a big role. Okay, so about groups. Again, I mentioned we have everything here. So if you go to group structure, you will be able to see something that we already used. And to make something purposeful, right? We will start to create a group. So first of all, you can just build a group as we already done, right? So you can just say, okay, name, then space, and then just put characters like this. So building a groups, it's the group exists in parentheses, right? And inside this parentheses, we put some syntax, which you can find also here, right? So literally, I define a group, and inside this group, I match everything. So these characters means like matches any character except the line terminator. So you see, it helps you to understand it. So literally, it matches anything on inside this line, and that there's like a joker sign, like it like repeats this for period, right? So that's how you match its simplest group. Okay, it's actually namespace this. Okay, so that's how you match a simplest group, right? So we have name, then column, and then space. But see what's happening? I have these two guys here, and this where the regex complexity might come to play, right? So I have, you see, match one and group one, match two and group two, so on and so forth. So to make it better, right? What I can do, I can name my groups. I can say like, okay, if we have this match, I want to add name. So I literally copy this, and if you click on it, you see an example, right? So create not just a group without any name, just group one. I can literally put a name. It should be the text inside of this. So literally, if I place my stuff here, my group now will become named group. And I can use this even inside the make, which we are going to cover shortly. Now I can go and continue to build my regex pattern. So for example, I want to add a new line, which you already remember, right? And then I want to add my last name thing. Okay, so C stops that thing. So we starting to build a new group. So now we getting things better, right? Because we mentioned the only thing that we want to do. So I have name, now I say want to have another group and name it as last name, for example. So that works. You can use upper characters, lower characters, whatever, but you don't need to use spaces because this breaks the group name and whole regex. And then here again, same trick for my stuff. So you see now I got two groups with a one match. So I do a full match of my something, right? And I have a separate groups. So using this technique, you can parse a text and do the things like this way easier. Okay, so let's continue to quickly build it. So literally, you see it's nothing complex. I can just copy paste it. Literally to match, I need 3 more lines, right? So I just could do it like this. So with my first, second line, third line, I just need to paste the things and rename my group. So this, and then say email. Okay. So then I do my phone. It's not matching yet, and my kind of regex a bit falling apart. So that's why you don't see everything yet. But if we finish, or you just literally remove the stuff, you should be able to see the things. I miss it actually, and new line. Okay. So see, we have these guys, and now I just need one more. I can just copy paste this here and add my country. Okay, so country, note, adding new lines, and the country name for a group. And this why, or sorry, this how, right? We built relatively a mindful pattern for our regex. Okay, so now it's time to apply this for a purpose again, as I already mentioned. Okay, so if we go to back to make, we have several options of using regex. I'll show you first a bit standard one, and then we going to play with a more advanced, which I hope you will like. So I will put the same text here, okay, for my data, and we will start to explore this module that calls text parsers, right? And they use a regex. So first, simplest one calls, probably not the simplest one, the first on top calls match pattern. And that utilizes exactly the system that we've just used. So I can quickly go to my regex that I created, click copy, and paste here, but not everything, but the parts of this stuff. So first of all, regex, when you do a copy, it copies these pieces of slashes, right? So it's kind of it's encapsulated in these slashes. Plus, it has this GM, which means global and multi-line flags. So that literally explain the regex, what exactly you want to match into. So global and multi-line means I want to don't return after first match. So if I got, well, you remember what we did with the names, right? Because of flag global, I got 2 matches. Multi-line means we process multi-line text and so on and so on. So it could be like several of these flags. We won't go deep now in this stuff. So but just you to know and understand, we have the same flags in this module here. So potentially, right, to match what we did, I have to put, again, global on and M. So just G and M, two flags to make it happen. And as a text, I just put my data. Let's see what will happen in this case, because this should utilize potentially this pattern in make. And that's what we've got, right? So we got one match, right? And we got exactly our thing. That's just because I call it name group lowercase. We can just quickly rename it to make it nicer. And that's how we can process text like this, where you have like lines and the stuff between them. So just to remind you real quick, a structure of this pattern. So let's maybe draw it somewhere. It would work like this. What is cool in Regex 101, you can save this. Just click hit save. You got a link, okay? And then you can go back to this link like anytime with this one version. Okay, so literally to outline this pattern, it would work like this. Say group name. Here will be your match before the text you use, plus you have a group that goes inside the parentheses, plus we have this question mark here that starts our name captured group, goes before the group name. In this type of things, we have the name of the group, right? And there's like I don't know, triangle parentheses or triangle brackets, right? We have this group name, right? And then we have exact match inside the group. So again, in my case, that's my group, right? So it starts after this and goes until the end of the line, right? So then you can use this pattern, because if you would have some more text, right, that you potentially want to play with, and if you say just want to match Alex, so that will already not work. And this where Regex trickiness come to play. But for simple structure like this, you can use this this pattern. Again, it's just educational thing. So then we add a new line, right, to add more, because we our purpose is fully match the whole text, right, and then return it. So we have one match and everything. So there are like a ton of ways to do it, but as you see, it's still even though it's more or less looks okay, but as soon as you got to real regex, usually it becomes way more complicated. We have advanced module, so going further to modules, it doesn't change too much, to be honest. It just have maybe a bit more things where you can search a regular pattern expression. So let's try to place the same pattern, remove the headers, put my headers G and M. See how this will work. It has this continued execution and show settings. Also, that's probably where we go to the plane, the global match case sensitive, single line continue. Yeah, that's yeah. So that's probably will be a difference. So we can just ignore infinite loops, because sometimes if you have like a multiple match, it may result to long module execution and so on. So comparing to this just doesn't have this. Or even this one has ignore. So difference only in patterns and how the data returns. So see here, right? So it returns with the indexes. It returns literally array, and inside of this array we got this and this. It closer to like a programming style more, right, than to this one user-friendly thing. So it returns you the full syntax in more like a programming way syntax. So it's where you have indexes of the groups with a number, so you can reference them as a numbers. So probably it's not your case if you're just starting. Replace. This is interesting one, and this we're going to talk about, but I more prefer replace function, which will be a key of this video. So technically works like this. So you have text, right? So you have a pattern and you replace a pattern inside the text with a something. So real quick, we can do with a phone number in a whole text, for example, like this. Again, just because I have the only numbers here, and in this particular structure, you can say like, okay, I need a regex just like this. And how do you do a regex? This time to come to play with our advanced helper, right? And that thing does a magic, even on the free model, something, right? Not GPT-4, even GPT 3.5, it will help you to build amazing things. So you simply put something like build regex to match this inside a text. I intentionally going to use the simplest one. So let's see, it should create a quick and nice regex. So as you see here, matches a word boundary, ensuring, and it explains you how it does. So let's test this out, or you can click the copy to see our results, the results of our match, which is here. Okay, so as you see, works nice, and I can grab and match my number. And let's try to utilize this inside our make scenario to replace my phone number in a whole text. So I have my text here, I have my pattern, which is this, and I'm going to put a new value for this number. So say I want to put it like 997 654, and then like 3210. So now just in case, let's make it global also and multiple, remove case sensitive. So, and let's try to see the result of this one. So that returned me a text, right? Because the purpose of this thing is replace a text. Inside the text, it replaces a pattern that matches to something, this is pattern, to a new value, right? So doing this, we replace the phone number in that text to something different. And again, I would prefer use replace function for it, even at least because of you won't spend one operation for it, right? Not running spin the separate module. So quickly finish with these guys. You will get a logic quickly, right? So we have the predefined patterns for you to find, say, link text inside the HTML. And this again, where our guy is super helpful. Generate an HTML with the anchors and images in it. Okay, here you go. We got some anchor here, which is hyperlink, and an image. Okay, so if I go to my HTML and paste this here, and will ask this module return me a links only, that should grab my links inside the text. Okay, my anchors. If I want to get images, that will give me an image. So super simple to understand. And that's my image with all properties of it. If I go to get content from the HTML deprecated, so this you won't see anymore, right? It's just same, a bit older version. So this is HTML, and that gets content from HTML table. So let's get the HTML table. build me an HTML table, please. Okay, so we got a table built, and let's try to see how that thing will parse the HTML table. It will continue, strip HTML from contents, and skip the first row. So we won't skip the first row. We want to see the header. And let's see how that worked. So we got headers and we got a row. So see how easily that can parse any HTML table without building any regexes. So basically this already done for you. HTML to text simply converts HTML to piece of text. I'm not sure if that like super useful for you, but sometimes you need it, like see different line breaks you can use here, uppercase headings and so on. So with this table probably won't make too much sense, but still not bad. And you can even go and build some CSV probably maybe from it if you want. The last one, match elements, it's a universal thing similar to match elements for HTML. So you have a ton of patterns here, like an emojis, you have the IP addresses, you have pair key values, phone numbers, FTP, HTTP addresses, email, and so on. So you got a point, right? So you simply put some text here and then select, so for example, my email from our data will automatically match. So I don't need any regexes for it. I just need to select the thing. Again, it simplifies from my text. So it just simplifies your job, but in fact, you can do everything of this right inside one super powerful function that calls a replace. And here we come to the key point of this whole thing. So I will create a modules for it. Here I will build my replace function. So that, as you understand, can be done in any place, such as filter or any other thing, right? And here comes our power mess of build a regexes matching groups. And what is important for this replace one, that we have to match the whole text, right? Because if, for example, right, so you want to do the same thing inside the replace function only, and don't return like a traces of this text somehow, like as all this type of stuff. You just want to replace the whole text with a nice something. So I'll show you how to do it. And for this, we say want to convert this automatically into a JSON, or I have probably some simpler patterns for you. So let's play this in a bit different way first. So say maybe this, right? So simple pattern again, with a you're familiar with the structure, right? So we have just a date, right? And we need to convert this date like in proper order. So what we can do here with our replace, so that could be done in this way. So when you use a replace, in Make, we have a separate nice article about it and how to use the replace, but I'll try you to show it in a bit simpler, even more way. So what I want to do is change the order of these numbers of this date format, right? So let's go and put this as my date. Let's clone both, because this will be more complex. We will start with a bit simpler. Okay, so I want to have my date and just play a bit differently, right? So I want to have, say, format like this. I have to say do a year and then say dash and month, and then I want to have a day. Okay, so let's do this way, and this will be our task. So I want to perform it like this. what's happening when I use replace, right, with my regex thing. So, and how to use it. So again, you have the article, and this article shows you how to use replace things. So first of all, you need to use the full syntax. So see here, you have these forward slashes and the flags and so on, because this is a simple text. We don't need too much flags, right? But still, okay, so my data, and then I put my regex, and the third argument will be what I want to do with this one. So if I say we'll just put the regex like this, which will or should match my year. Okay, so this is a pattern that will match my year only. So it's a D4 something. Let's just, okay, saved. So I want to say remove everything and just leave this. So this will literally, how to read it, it will match a digits of 4 going all together. There is only one place where we have 4 digits consequentially going one by one, right, sequentially. And this is the place of year, I'm saying, right? Okay, so I want to do this, and if I take this, literally copy paste, right, and place into my replace text, so this will be my year from this text, okay? And if I want to replace my year to say 27/7, right? So that should return me a text where this pattern will be replaced with this. So let's see how this works. So we got my text. Okay, actually it doesn't work because maybe because of these guys, or maybe because of, yeah, so because of flex. So you remember, we don't need to be super you know, overplay this. So this is simple text line, right? So no need to put multi lines to destruct the pattern. So basically what we've done, we got this replaced. So it found literally a text and replaced this text, the piece of text, for this. Exactly same as you work with the regular replace function. So if you put replace something, right? So you find hello and you replace it for hi, and you get and you're going to get hi world, right, instead of hello world. So here we're replacing here what we found with a 27/7 and 77, and it gets replaced. So what you also can do, because it's okay, it's funny, it's interesting, there are some examples how you say put international to this number, right? So it will be returning the phone number is plus international code. But you can work with the groups and matches also. So by doing this, let me actually see, it could be worked with several ways. So this is insert matching, right? And or you can go with the groups. So this is the universal one. So I can just replace it, say like this. So this also should work. So ampersand, a dollar and a percent, right? So we'll replace our thing. So dollar and a percent. So okay, my new year is, and then I put what I matched, right? So let's play this and see, right? So it was literally it got my thing into a match, right? Which we can utilize using these special characters as like a universal match. And I just replaced it literally 2022 with a my new year as, right? And than what I found in match. So that's how it was returned back. Okay. If you want to do it again a bit more interesting, you can work with the groups and you can define many groups as we did here, right? So if we take our patterns, that will be also applicable and should work inside of our replace. So this idea I'm going to implement to change the order of my stuff, and let's do it. So we're going back to our saved version of Regex. This is our pattern, and please pay attention or take at attention the fact that I'm matching whole thing, right? So means I will replace the whole text. So this is very important if you want not only get something, but if you want to have a text and then change it completely or just get some item from it. So you need to fully match that thing. Okay. So I'm matching without the multi-line. So you see the multi-line might doesn't work sometimes. If you have just one line, why do you need multi-line? So not overcomplicated. And that's what I do, right? So I put my thing for pattern with my named groups and so on. This all nice and cool, right? So you see I have group days, group month, group years, and so on. Everything works as it should be. And now I will simply do this trick. So because my groups are named, I can go and accordingly to this, right? So the group construct thing. Yes, I can go quantifiers, maybe this one. Or it's a substitution. Yeah, it's a substitution. So basically, what I want to do, so that calls substitution when we use this $sign and our group thing. So first of all, we have a matches for our group. So you see this is first matched group, second matched group, third matched group. So we can try to use numbers. And exactly same you have in reference of make article, right? So we have one group in here that matches digits, right? So we use $1 to match our group. So let's see, and let's again, I match the whole thing. What is wrong? I don't have my characters, right? So these slashes and global one. So let's just make sure we have them. Okay, so this is really important to have when you use the replace. Okay, so then you go this way, and I want to return, say, let's try to get first captured group. So $sign and 1. So first captured group should be this, and this are days. Again, what I'm doing here, I'm replacing the whole text because my match matches everything. I replace a match, right, with the first group, which is this. Let's try if named group works with a number only, because it's definitely more convenient to use it with a name instead of dollars or whatever, or instead of indexes. It works, right? So it works with a number, and it will definitely work with the syntax of name. So let's check this. I did a test of a different scenario, but accordingly to this, right, that should work as see here, right? So there's curly brackets and the name of your group, and exactly same thing should be applicable. Okay, for make. Let's see here. I saw it working. Maybe. Maybe a bit tricky syntax. Here we go. So it works this way. So you literally copy the whole name of your group, okay? Uh, but as like these brackets, see, not the curly brackets as we have, for example, in Regex 101, but you use this, and that will work. So it matches your group. So now I can go and easily build the thing that I want. So I have years, right? So I have years, I have months, and I have a days. So for me, it will be really easy now. Replace the whole thing with what I want. So I can just put the $sign and that thing and dash, and then same for months and a $sign and then another dash and then days. So this will be our result in here to change the order of the stuff. So as you see, it's definitely more advanced, but it works magically in any place of your scenario, filter, variable, whatever. So now I hope you getting to understanding of how powerful could be using these replaces. So the only problem for us will be definitely building and generation the regexes itself, but see how easily now we can manage this stuff, right? So we have this thing, right? And instead of this, right, I want to get my, say, JSON, right? So I don't need this ton of text. I need a proper regex. So I can just simply copy this regex that, again, fully matches. So if you want to do replace the whole text, make sure it just matches whole text in your regex. And then I can simply say, okay, please replace that thing for me, which is my data with and I put my regex, so that thing, literally I replace that thing with, and here I can build whatever I like, right? So I can go and literally put my regex and say like, okay, I need a name here with a some value. I need an email here with a some value, and I need a phone here with a some value. I may even not care about the country. I might not even care about last name, right? Or I can combine last names, say, right? So let's do it. And I put definitely commas to make my regex, the JSON correct. I can even afford to myself put some spaces, right? Because it's a regex, I don't care about extra lines. You maybe do, so let's keep it more straight. So, and here, what I do, you remember, right? So we just use our groups in a way we like. So I put my name in here. So literally $sign and name, okay? Then I want to add a space and add my, again, group of $sign and last name. And then here I want to put email, and here I want to put a phone, right? So phone and email. And let's see the results. So basically that should do a replace for whole text because we're matching a whole pattern. The pattern matches the whole text and creates capturing named groups. So I will replace this whole thing, literally the match, with this text where I will use this special injection of variables. Okay, so now I run it and it doesn't work. So nice. Let's see where I was wrong, right? And maybe I just need to make some corrections, say these spaces, maybe for example, or something like this. Or maybe new line. Let's see. Okay, so this result, let's put them in one line. Maybe I'll replace a bit tricky about this one. Okay, still doesn't work, so maybe our regex not that great for make. Let's double check quickly. So we have, can we try to use lower cases? Maybe yes. Let's quickly try to change this to lower cases. So maybe this was the thing, because I'm pretty sure it should work. So I'm changing the names for my capturing group to lowercase and the email. Okay. Okay, let's do then it a bit differently. And let's just get one, right? Instead of ton of stuff, let's just get, say, just a name to see if my match works properly and if it replaced. Okay, so my match doesn't work, and this is the explanation, right? So this either this GM an issue or so I can just try and go replace this G, for example. So make sure even I don't have extra space. Okay, let's try to play it out once again. We got it. So I go back. So I believe even the, let's keep the first name uppercase and here, just for test purposes, right? And I just remove the M. So multi-line just makes a trick. So you see, the regex is super tricky and sensitive thing. And there are like a ton of things that might break it up, but as soon as it works, right, it works reliably and constantly, right? So as soon as you build it properly and that works, it's all good. So you may, again, don't use too much extra something if it's not needed. So see here, because my lines literally do not break, right? So I have these new lines all the time here, and I'm matching my pole pattern with like nice and shiny. So it works with the G only. I don't even need the G, right? So even if I will remove the global header, that should work okay, right? So and this is kind of a small magic that you can perform using the regex in just replace function again in any place you want. So you can just put it in directly in HTTP module or in your even custom function. Or so speaking about the custom functions, and if you are have the custom function on your enterprise plan, and you work with the regex and understand what is the JavaScript a bit, at least a bit, right? So you can simply go to this magic button, right, and click on code generator, and you will get ready to work JavaScript code with your regex. So it automatically takes this pattern, as you can see here, and it creates this as a test kind of function execution. So you see how exactly you can work with your regex. So this is alternative regex with a new regex expression. This is regex exec if it's not supported or supported, so you can play around with this one. I just wanted to mention this. And for the like finishing our video, I want to show you a couple of things that you can do with the generation of the regex, which I already mentioned. Definitely, I would recommend you to use GPT-4, which is more advanced. But let's see how fast and easy it can build something useful. I'm not saying because, you know, it's just a generator and it could be wrong, but sometimes it produces really well and nice thing by your text pattern. So you can say like, okay, I have my text and I want to capture, say, first line only and email. So that was produced by this generator. I haven't done literally nothing. Okay, this everything was produced by it. And let's try to replicate it and put the same thing. So please create a regex that completely matches the text in my example, and creates named groups for the match of first line completely, and email that exists in this text. Let's try. And you can put something like example. So let's see how this will work for us. Okay, so see here, it created a regex, name it at the first line. So you remember, right, this trick. So we already know how to do it. And then it says whatever lines you have and so on and so on. It creates the group. And it explains this basically everything. So let's try to see if this will work. I will just go to say fresh 101. I put usually ECMAScript, and this what you also may instruct your guys. So see here, right? That also may mean that it uses some like a Python thing or different type of interpretation, because as you understand the GPT very much likes the Python over JavaScript. So you can add something, use JavaScript. This will be enough, but you can add flower or interpretation, interpreter, or whatever. That should change it a bit. Like see JavaScript friendly thing. A bit changes the syntax. At once put the forward slash here and here, right? And even add the flag. So let's try this one. Okay. Okay. Works way better. And I can go to my text, right? See, almost a Magix. So I can just literally try to test it out. Again, you might play with the flags a bit if you want. Let's just copy these guys both together. And let's test this out for our thing. So here I will have my text, which is this. And here I will have my replace, which is this, and it's copy paste of my stuff. I will leave this as it's actually single line character. Again, the flags, it's a bit magic thing. In regex, single line don't matches new line. Let's see, that won't work. We will just remove it. Okay, and real quick, I put okay, let's not overcomplicate. So this will be a first line and email. Let's do it like this. Email and line. So group names, first line, email, email. Okay, now let's see. So as you see, I haven't done literally nothing. Yeah, probably single line and flags. Not the best idea. Okay, so as you see, I did literally nothing. Almost, right? So I don't like this dot though, but it's almost perfect from like literally typing how many, like 3 or even 2 lines of a text and click the button. I got my regex generated almost immediately with a almost no issues, right? So if we say like, okay, please don't match dot in the end of my email, right? That should definitely correct it. So see here, right? So I can just say it, okay, please don't match the dot in the end of email. That is just automatically corrected to proper pattern. We can actually see it here, right? So it matches dot. So for fast forward, we can just try to replace, and it doesn't match. So again, it's not like a bulletproof solution that works like 1,000,000%, but in many cases, it's just amazing. Okay, so I have a couple more examples of this, and let's try them out. So this again, yeah, this is much of text. What is cool with the GPT, you can even go and create your own thing super quick. So please build for me the say XML. Let's try to go a bit crazy. XML of product that returned by API. It should contain the properties product name or product say ID, name, price, and say what else? SKU, right? So SKU. Then build Java JS friendly pattern that matches whole XML and returns named groups for mentioned properties. Let's see how that would work. That's something that you can relatively often see in your API response when you work with XMLs, or maybe not exactly, but you got a point, right? It's relatively close to what you may get. Okay, and by doing this, you even make, right? So you need how many? At least probably like 3 modules, 2 modules. You need to get an XML, you need to parse it, and then like waste at least 1 module, or in many cases even more, right? So let's try to test it out first here and then see how this works. Okay, so I got my S, again, fine. I don't like it. Doesn't change anything, works still. So see here, I have captured groups. I have complete mesh, so all super nice, right? So I can copy this. I can go to my regex. I'd like to have this probably as my JSON style, right? And I want to build my replace for these products as my new regex. So this will be my regex from 101, and this will be my XML. Hopefully already here. Yes. And here I will create my so product ID. I have product ID. I have name. Group is here. It's a name, right? Okay. So this matches to name. And I have my product ID. Product ID equal to product ID. Then I have my price, definitely. I can say value. Maybe my API just likes value. Name better, and I can say it's a number, right? Not a text. And I can add definitely SKU, say lowercase, but that will use my uppercase. Oh, thank you. But I like the lower one, and my group comes from here after a $sign. Okay, so this is SKU. I can make it like this, a bit nicer, at least one space in here to make it. Okay, so I got product ID, product name, price, SKU. Now let's see how that would help in our journey. So here you go, XML parsed at once using regex converted to JSON, and this works as a magic, right? So if you have custom functions, you can quickly go and even build things like this, right? Should work. And now, as an output, we have an object array. Okay, so my custom function parse JSON converts everything into a nice collection, so I can go and use it. So I hope this was useful. So we covered probably basic of regex. We covered of how to use regex in Make in general, how to build regex patterns manually, use the regex 101 to test it out. Everything we got covered the replace function, which is one of the main functions when it comes to using regex in Make, and most common, as I hope will be helpful for you, use cases of using this thing inside a Make, and hope it will help you to save a ton of operation, make nice automations, and your life better and business easier. So hope it helps. See you soon.